Well, welcome in live. I'm Tony Altieri. That is Riku Mukherjee. This is the 5 of 6 Golf Show. Rick, double winner, Max Homa at the Farmers. Let's go, dude. Me and you both hit a pretty good number.
Yeah, seems like it was a big community win, man. I think everyone and their mother had a Max Homa ticket last week. So one thing I think we've all understood over time, over the last couple of years, is that when Max Homa tees it up in California, you got to bet him.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. He's won 6 tournaments in a very short period of time. 4 of those are in California, the Genesis, twice at the Fortinet, and then now at the Farmers. And then his other 2 wins didn't come at the same course, but the same tournament. He's won the Wells Fargo twice, once in Charlotte. I'm not sure where the other one was, but he obviously loves putting on POA. I've hit him 5 out of his 6 wins. So I am obviously a big Max Homa guy, but it was nice, man. It's always good early in the year to have a couple winners under the belt, and we're rolling, man. We were all over the leaderboard. Yep. You know, we had Morikawa and Hideki, and basically all the guys that were on our betting cards were basically at the top of the leaderboard.
Yep. You had I think you had Sungjae and Morikawa and Homa. I had Homa and can't remember who the other person on my card that was in contention. But yeah, man, we the process was right last week. A little home cooking for us and at Torrey Pines, and we got the job done, man.
Yeah, it was nice. Unfortunately for myself, it's the first time I did not go to Torrey Pines in probably the last decade. I was traveling. I was in Orlando and Lakeland and Dallas, and I didn't get back until late on Friday night. But I was bummed to miss it, but excited to watch it on Saturday. Did you end up making it down to the tournament at all?
Nope, did not go. I just got pretty lazy and just ended up staying in and watching it on TV. I went last year and had a good time, but couldn't find anyone to go with me. So I just stayed home and watched it on TV. I'm going to try to make it out to Riviera in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. There were a couple of things I had made note of during the course of the broadcast when I was traveling, watching it on TV late at night in my hotel because it's on the East Coast, or, watching it on Saturday because basically I got home midday, had an early morning event on Saturday, and just proceeded to lay in bed and watch golf the rest of the afternoon. And there were a couple things from the broadcast that I took away. And one of them, I texted, I think it was Sunday night about that. One was, it was kind of cool because they did some different things in this broadcast. One was they had the on-course interview with Homa. I think he was on the 11th or 12th hole on Friday. Very cool to hear him talk about the process. They're asking him questions as he's transitioning from the tee box to hit his approach. Loved that portion of it. The European Tour does this pretty extensively throughout all of the events. Yeah. So it was cool to see that happen. I was very pro the on-course interview with the guys.
Yeah, I like that too. It has to be the right guy, though. It has to be somebody like Max Homa or, someone that gives a good interview. It can't be somebody. I don't think it can be somebody like Jon Rahm, who is pretty fiery when he's on the course and stuff like that. He's probably not the best interview in the middle of his round, especially if he's not having a good round. Like for example, like Jon Rahm's round on Sunday, like he would not have been a good interview on Sunday, like during the round.
Dude, that would have been a great interview. Just telling the guys to F off and leave him alone and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it's good content, I guess, if he does something like that. But I mean, in general, like it has to be a guy like Max Homa, who's pretty personable, like all the time and stuff like that. Somebody who's entertaining all the time. So, but yeah, I like it. I thought they did a pretty good job overall with the broadcast. It looked like they were trying their best to show as many guys as possible. Usually on Saturday, usually the last round they're focusing in on maybe the top 5 or 6 guys on the leaderboard. But it looked like they were playing, showing the normal guys, even a few guys down the leaderboard a little bit. So that was good. I enjoyed that, especially with what we got coming up this week when we have to sit here and watch Bill Murray take shots and Larry the Cable Guy sing songs. So that's pretty annoying. This week's tournament, it's one of those tournaments that I don't really enjoy watching. I know not a lot of people don't really enjoy watching this week's tournament, but it's just a 1 week thing, and then we got probably the most exciting tournament of the year next week in Scottsdale.
Yeah, the other thing that I wouldn't say that I liked it, but I did find it very triggering was, and I mentioned this in our text message on Sunday night, was the on-course interview with Sam Ryder's mother.
Yeah.
where all the victory on like the 13th hole, like talking. And again, I don't think she said he's going to win today, but she was saying all these things that happened, like, oh, on my bucket list is seeing him get a hole in one. And then, of course, watching him get his first win. And again, she was just a mom being a mom, right? Her son's playing great. But after she gives that interview with Balionis, he proceeds to go like bogey on 14 and 15, which are the two most difficult holes. And then Homa goes birdie on 16, and the leaderboard goes completely upside down on poor Sam Ryder. I felt bad for him and for his mom, but I was thinking in my head, like, dude, somebody get her off the camera and have her stop talking about Sam winning this tournament.
I know, right? She obviously has not watched enough golf to know that he was going to gag it away. We were. I think everybody was expecting him to gag it away. Most people, I think, were expecting him to choke and lose it to Rahm on Sunday. But for some reason, that last group played awful, man. Ryder, Rahm, and Finau combined shot like +5 or something on Sunday. And if you would have told me that was going to be the case, I did not think that would be something that happened. But luckily, our guy came through. Max Homa came through, coming from behind. I think he was 5 or 6 shots off the lead to start the day. But that was exciting. I caught a little bit of the Dubai tournament this morning, which was super exciting also, with Rory making a birdie on 18 to put away Patrick Reed, even though I was kind of rooting for him to not make that putt on 18 because I kind of wanted to see him in a playoff with Patrick Reed. That would have been pretty good TV. But man, it was entertaining golf all weekend long, entertaining football on Sunday. So it was a good weekend for sports.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would say this, the last little piece that I will say I'm pro is the Wednesday through Saturday. Like, I get it. The PGA loves Saturdays and Sundays because they like the gate, right? You get Friday, people that are taking Friday off and going to the event. You get the big gate on Saturday, and you get everybody that shows up on Sunday. But from like a viewership perspective, right? Like, having the event conclude on Saturday and leaving Sunday open for Championship Sunday, that was the smartest thing they could have done.
Dude, I would give anything for golf to be Wednesday through Saturday. I know financially it does not make sense for the PGA because they get the most of their patrons on Saturday and Sunday. But how much money is the PGA Tour really making from tournament attendance? Like, they're not making that much. They're making their money from sponsorships and other like corporate deals and shit like that. But yeah, man. Especially during football season, like if all the tournaments were Wednesday through Saturday, I was even listening to Rick Gaiman's podcast or somebody's podcast earlier. I thought it was Pat Mayo's podcast, where they said like even the events that are like non-elevated events have those Wednesday to Saturday, like even during the year. Like I love having the Saturday finish. You get Sunday to relax, hang out with the family, go play golf if you want to, if you're a golfer, watch the final round on Saturday, go play on Sunday. Like, that's something that I hope changes in the future, at least during football season.
Yeah, I mean, going head to head with the NFL is just a bad look anyways. Like, the PGA has no business. And I understand the economics of the tournament itself has to be able to make money or at least break even, which is why they like having the weekend events. But the reality is you can generate so much more revenue off of selling the rights on TV and media buys than you can off of the gate, like Joe Public. I mean, how often in these no-name events, and again, the Farmers is a pretty elevated event, but let's take, for instance, I don't know, Pebble Beach this week, which is god-awful in terms of the field strength. Like, if this tournament was Wednesday through Saturday, would there be any difference in the gate whatsoever? And the answer is probably no. And if anything, you could probably sell more media time for coverage on ESPN Plus or whatever PGA Tour live thing that they have out there for people to be able to watch the tournament Wednesday through Friday while they're at work, on their lunch break, whatever it is they're doing. I hope that it's a model, to your point, that they take into account not only for football season, but regular, because so many events are happening on Sunday and I guess the broader scope of sports. Like, it just makes sense that golf, which is like the most boring sport to watch, and unless you're a complete degenerate like you and I are, like, who gives a shit? And the reality is the random sports fan does not want to be watching that on a Sunday. It's great nap TV, kind of like Major League Baseball, right? You turn it on, take a nap, wake up an hour and a half later, and oh, by the way, it's almost done, and now it's exciting. But I'm pro Wednesday through Saturday.
Yeah, for me, I personally, I love being able to sit at work, and when I'm in between patients and stuff like that, be able to pop on the golf and watch a few holes. And for me, I mean, I of course we love it because we gamble on it, and we we're golfers. We love this sport so much. But for me, it's fun, like being able to watch a golf course like that we never get to play like ever, like in our lives. Maybe like this week, like even though like I don't like this tournament, the Pebble Beach event, I'm still gonna watch it because I like to turn on the TV and see Pebble Beach. It's like the most beautiful golf course on the planet. So I like that. I like being able to turn on the TV, look at the views, look at the shots that the cameras are giving for the course. Just think about to myself, like, how am I gonna play this hole? How would I play this hole if I was playing, and so on and so forth. So yeah, man, I love I would love that, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yep. Well, I think it's a good transition into, I guess, the meaty part of the content, which is the actual course this week and what we're going to be getting into. I want to remind everybody who's logging in live or watching this after the fact to please like, comment, and then, of course, like Mike says, drop a nickel on the subscribe button. Join the legion of Nickel City Mafia people that are following us and participating online, whether it's through YouTube, Twitter, or any of the channels that are out there. And also join the Discord. We'll put the link down in here. I keep saying it week in and week out. And we actually had some pretty good exchanges with a bunch of the community this week. I lost $100 to a guy during the course of the NFL games via Discord, like just being a total moron and talking trash. This guy won $100 from me, and kudos to Adam for taking my money, but I paid him quickly, and hey, I even announced it. So there you go, Adam. You whooped my ass. You took my money. Congratulations. You can do that in the Discord channel with us because it is constantly being monitored and worked through us. But getting into, like I said, why we're all here, we are going to talk about the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. And of course, we have to mention a couple things. This is going to be really similar to the Amex, where it's a 3-course rotation, right? They're going to play Monterey Peninsula, Spyglass, and Pebble. They'll play Pebble twice. It's a 54-hole cut. You mentioned it. It's also a Pro-Am, which means we're going to get a bunch of random non-golfers, B-list celebrities out there with the guys on course. It's super long rounds. It's terrible TV. You mentioned it. Saturday is almost unwatchable because we see Bill Murray and Ray Romano and random athlete Josh Allen, instead of playing in the Pro Bowl or whatever the hell he'd be doing, he's out here playing golf at Pebble Beach. So it is brutal. And of course, the field strength does not help this tournament at all either. The field strength is, I guess, objectively the worst of anything that we've seen thus far. And as we get into later in the year and guys start to pick and choose where they're going to be from a scheduling perspective, Pebble Beach just kind of falls in that weird zone. We had a great tournament in Farmers, high drama. People love to play Farmers. And then post Pebble Beach, we're in the Waste Management, the week of Super Bowl in Arizona. Everyone's going to be there. And then, of course, Tigers event, the Genesis, is the week after. So this is the natural spot where people are going to take time off. They're just not going to play in this tournament. And to your point, the star of the show ends up becoming Pebble Beach itself. That's the reason that you watch, because they've played this event for 50 some years. It is one of the most beautiful courses to see. It's a course that you can go up and play. So all of those aspects they really use to sell it, because they're not using the field, because the field is freaking terrible this week, and it's reflected obviously in the numbers. So, I mean, Rick, we'll jump right into it, but there's really 3 elite guys here in Spieth, Hovland, and Fitz, and then a bunch of guys that are normally in the low 8s and high 7s. The only guy that's, I guess, would say middle of the road in this entire mix is probably Tom Hoge, the guy that won it last year.
Yeah, man. I totally agree with everything you just said. Spieth, Hovland, and Fitz are the elite players here. I think Tom Hoge gets that price bump here because he is the defending champion and won last year. Seamus Power gets the price bump also here because he was the what was he, the 54-hole leader, maybe the 36-hole leader last year, but he was crushing it last year. So he gets that course history from last year, and everyone else in this range. And as we drop down further, it gets ugly pretty quick. These are probably the guys that, DraftKings does they have to price it this way. This is the algorithm that they've figured out that works. Like, in reality, should Jordan Spieth or Matt Fitzpatrick be $100 more than Tom Hoge? No, Matt Fitzpatrick is one of the best players in the world, and he won the U.S. Open last year. He should. in any field on any given course, he should be at least $1,000, $1,500 more than Tom Hoge. But because of the strength of the field, Tom Hoge is probably the fourth best player in the field here, and has to price it this way just because this is how their algorithm works. They usually get a few guys up in the 10K, 11K range, stuff like that, and then they have to drop down to the bare minimum of 6,000. But there's no reason in any tournament whatsoever why Matt Fitzpatrick should be $100 more than Tom Hoge.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I mean, I think what we've seen is that DraftKings kind of waits to see where Vegas puts the odds, and then they adjust their pricing accordingly. And of course, we'll get into the odds board a little bit later in the show, but Tom Hoge's like the fourth or fifth guy on the odds board. So of course he's going to be the fourth or fifth guy in terms of DraftKings pricing. I agree with everything you said in relation to that. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Victor Hovland, and Jordan Spieth are objectively miles ahead of Tom Hoge. But again, when we adjust everything for the strength of the field, and you got guys like Andrew Putnam coming in at 9,700, and Matt Kuchar, circa 19 or 2017 coming in at $9,400, like it's a joke. But that just tells you how bad the field is. The one guy that I love here, and I know that he's catching a ton. Well, there's three guys, but the three guys that I want to mention that are catching a ton of steam, we've seen it in the one and done threads that you and I are on, where guys are picking these guys over and over again. And then, of course, when you look at the course history, this is one of the few tournaments where course history can trump a lot of other things, current form, what have you, is Seamus Powers, Mav McNeely, and Joel Damon. Like, those three guys are catching more steam than anyone else. And I'm curious, from an ownership perspective, construction of lineups, do you think people are just going to grab two of those guys or three of those guys and drop down? Or do you think more people will go 10K, 9K?
That's a good question. It's pretty early in ownership for ownership projections, but it's looking, in the 10K range. Let's talk about the 10K range first. It's looking pretty flat. No one is sticking out like a sore thumb when it comes to ownership early on a Monday. Obviously, this is, could change by Thursday, and it's going to change by Thursday. But as of this moment, when I'm looking at it, early projections, Spieth, Hovland, Fitz, and Tom Hoge look pretty flat. They're all looking around 15 to 18%, something like that. And then when you drop down into the nines, when we're looking at ownership, Mav is the chalk here. He's coming in the highest owned, but he's not like super chalk. He's not like going to be like 30% or 25% or something like that. He's looking more also in the 15 to 20% range. And then the other guys around him are looking to be a little bit less owned. Seamus Power, Justin Rose, Kuchar, McCarthy looks like he's going to be the pivot in this range. Doesn't look like anyone's going to McCarthy in this range. But I will say that Matt McNeely is my favorite play in this whole range from the 10Ks and the 9Ks. He's my pick to win this week. He's playing some of the best golf in his career. Any course that has small greens like Pebble Beach does, that's a pitch and a putt, and a course where your putting is going to come handy and wedge play is going to come handy. I like Matt McNeely. He grew up on this course. His father is a billionaire, and he used to own a home on this course. So he grew up playing this course a million times in his life. He's my favorite play here. He's my one and done pick. He's going to be the guy that I'm going to focus all my lineups on this week. So definitely Maverick McNeely is going to be my favorite play in this entire range. For the top of the guys, I think by lock, I think Spieth is going to end up being higher owned than Matt Fitzpatrick. But deservedly so. People are going to see Spieth. They're going to see his history here. He's second place, third place, ninth place. I think he's won this tournament in the past also. Most strokes gained totaled at this event on weighted gain strokes. So people are going to see that, and they're probably going to decide to click Spieth before any of the other guys in the 10K range. But I think I'm going to click Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick is a better golfer than Jordan Spieth. So if he's a better golfer than Jordan Spieth and I get $500 in savings here, I think I'm going to roll with Fitzpatrick. He's no slouch here either. He finished sixth place here last year, coming in with, great form. I think he's the better play up here, especially value wise. So for me, it's going to be I think my lineup, my main lineup this week is going to start Fitz and McNeely. And I don't really know who I have interest here. Other than that, I get the Joel Damon love. He he is coming off. He just had a baby, so he does have some baby swag. I don't mind that. We've seen him play well at coastal courses before, and places that are on the coast. And obviously, this is right on the coast on the water. So this is a course that I think suits Joel Damon pretty well. So out of all these guys, I think for me, it's McNeely 1, Fitz 2, and Joel Damon 3.
Yep. No, I would agree with everything that you said about Matt McNeely. I think that's why everybody's picking him this week. Last year I went back and watched the show that we did for Pebble, and then I went back and looked at my model from last year, and we saw the same kinds of things trending well, everybody riding the narrative with him coming into this week. And of course, he's got pretty immaculate course history here the last couple of years. He's got a couple of top 5 finishes, and then, the 33 last year, but he is coming in good form as well. Damon is the guy for me, and I recognize that he has not played golf in 11 weeks, which is somewhat scary. But to your point, it's because he has a kid. He does have very, very good course history here. And then the other thing is, I was just looking at the results. Like, coming into this, Joel Damon's playing the best golf of his career. Dating back to the Sanderson, he's got a 13th, a 37th, a 16th, a 3rd, a 9th, and a 5th. So coming in, he's the hottest guy in terms of recent form. And then statistically, when I look at the key stats for this week, when I broke them down, he's top 10 in opportunities gained. He's top 10 in green in regulation, which is the most highly correlated stat for success at Pebble Beach. And he's inside the top 15 off of the tee. So all of those things have me looking at him. With all that being said, looking at his POA splits, they are probably the worst of any of the guys ranked inside the top 10 in my model. POA is his worst surface. But again, the POA that we're getting at Pebble Beach is different than the POA that we have here in San Diego and that we saw at the Farmers last week. And what we find is that putting here is like putting on Velcro compared to Farmers. Farmers was glass. This place is slow. And I think that will benefit a guy like Joel Damon. It just will. The other guy, and you mentioned him, that I like as a pivot play in this range is McCarthy. All of the narrative things, the skill sets that we would be looked to have success at a course like this, Denny McCarthy does them very, very well. It's just people don't consider him a West Coast guy or a POA guy. It's just one of those things. And I like the pivot to Denny McCarthy, whether it's off of Joel Damon or off Mav McNeely. I love McNeely as well, too. I also like Putnam a lot in this range, too, for all the same arguments that I made about Denny McCarthy. So if I was to rank them, my favorite plays, Damon, Mav McNeely, and then I would go probably McCarthy, Putnam, and then Power. Power's obviously very popular as well, too. Wins on coastal courses. His other 2 wins came in absolutely terrible fields. So, it'll be interesting. I know he's Chris's one and done pick because he wants to promote himself here.
Yeah, I don't mind Power. It's just that a couple things. If I was playing lineups, I would probably be a little underweight on Power just because I would look for the extra $300 to get to Fitz, or even the extra $200 to get to Hoagie, or save a couple $100 and get to Mav below him. The thing that scares me about Power is that for some reason he's amazing on Pebble Beach and he's amazing on, I can't remember if it's
Spyglass.
Yeah, Spyglass.
Yeah. Monterey. Yeah.
Absolute dog shit on Monterey Peninsula. For some reason,
this is true.
He absolutely hates that course. He said it multiple times in interviews that course just does not suit his eye. And we saw it last year. He had a 5-stroke lead going into his Saturday round where he had to go play Monterey Peninsula. And I think he ended up shooting like 5 over that day or something like that. For some reason, that course does not suit him. He does not like that course. So if he can, squeeze out a decent round at Monterey Peninsula, even if it's like 1 under or 2 under or something like that, then I think he's going to be a threat this week because he rips apart Pebble Beach and he rips apart Spyglass, but he just sucks on Monterey Peninsula for some reason. And that last year, that round at Monterey sinked his chances to win.
Yeah, to your point, he shot 64 on Thursday and Friday, and then he shot 74 at Monterey Peninsula, which is considered the easiest of all 3 courses. And he said multiple times he just does not like the layout of that course.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't really understand it, but I kind of get it because there's, as a golfer, we see that all the time. There are some courses out there that just don't suit your eye. You don't feel comfortable at that course, and you just never play well at those courses. We see it all the time. So I get it. But if he, like I said, if he can squeeze out a good round there, even if it's just 1 under or even par or something, I think he will be in contention on Sunday.
So I do want to throw this out there because we do have a lot of guys that are involved in the one and done leagues that we have now. It's become a more popular thing, and we've got a couple different leagues that you and I are in with a bunch of people that are participating, not only on the show but in Discord. I'm curious, from a one and done perspective, Victor Hovland, coastal course guy, plays well with wind by the ocean. That's where all of his wins have come. He doesn't have great course history, but as an amateur, he played very, very well. I think he finished top 10 at the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. No one is going to play him this week in one and done. I don't see anybody touting him or talking about him. The guy just won the Hero World Championship like a month and a half ago. It's not like he's playing terrible, and he's, like we said, one of the 3 best players in the field. Is this a good spot to maybe burn a guy like Victor Hovland in one and done because nobody else is going to play him?
Nah, I don't think I could do it. I mean, you're right in the sense that he does have. It looks weird because he doesn't have good course history here for this event, but he has good course history in the sense that, like you said, as an amateur, he finished top 10 here at the U.S. Open when Woodland won. He actually won the U.S. Amateur here at this course, so he knows this course pretty well, and he plays well at this course really well. We already know he plays well on coastal courses, but I don't know, man. It's just something about Vic. I really need to just see him win on mainland USA. Until he actually does it, I just don't care for him, man. Like, in all honesty, I don't. Like, I need to see him win a tournament on mainland USA. For people that don't understand that, all his wins, his professional wins, have been overseas or somewhere not in mainland USA. They've been either in Mexico or Bermuda or something like that, or overseas in Europe or something like that. So I need to see him win a tournament, actually win a PGA Tour tournament on mainland USA before I'm like, okay, he can do it, and I'll use him moving forward. I mean, yes, he's one of the best players in the world. We know that. But at 10,300 for DraftKings and for one and done, you need him. You're picking him or clicking his name because you need him to win the tournament. Yeah. And I need to see it. Vic, go out and win a tournament. Then I won't say this ever again, but go out and win a tournament in a mainland USA before I shit on you some more.
Dropping down into the next tier, pretty massive drop off. Like, we get in the bottom half of the 8,000s. And I mean, there's dudes we typically see in the $6,000 range. I mean, EVR, Nick Taylor, Trey Mullinax, like, those guys are perennial 6K guys. Yet here we are at Pebble Beach, and they're in the $8,000. Again, there are two guys here that everybody is gravitating to. The first one is at $8,600, Ben Griffin. Why wouldn't you? He looks just unbelievably good. And I should say there are 3 names. The other one is Alex Smalley. Statistically, rates out phenomenal. You cannot argue with his form coming in. And then, of course, the other guy from a pure pedigree standpoint at 8,800, Thomas Detry. I just don't know. I mean, Ben Griffin was what, like $7,000 last week at the Farmers, and now here we are a week later, and he's 8,600. I get it. The dudes look like an absolute stud, and we're in the weakest field. Do you think he has a legit chance to potentially win? And the other thing I just want to throw out is the fact that Mike picked Griffin. You and I both thought it was Ben Griffin.
I did.
Lonto Griffin.
Yeah, when he texted that earlier, I was like, okay, Ben Griffin, right? And he goes, no, Lonto. I'm like, what? You're picking the worst Griffin out of the 2 Griffins.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've been playing Ben Griffin every week since the swing season, like literally every week. I'm not scared to click his name. He's phenomenal. He's an incredible putter. I just every week I come on the show, I feel like I'm saying it, like I'm scared it's going to run out soon. I think a miscut's coming soon, and it's going to sink a lot of our lineups, and we're not going to be happy. Is it going to be this week? I don't know. I really don't know. He obviously has no course history here. He's coming in off of nothing but top 30 finishes, top 15 finishes. He's playing great golf, but it's just one of those feelings. There's no reason why I shouldn't click his name again. I'm probably going to end up clicking his name again when I'm building lineups on Wednesday night, but it's just one of those feelings in my stomach that I feel like it's only a matter of time before that miscut is coming, and I think it might be this week.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you because I think when you start looking at trends and things like that, like what's happening, he's been fire the last 2 weeks. See things kind of slip back a little bit, especially on the greens. So maybe he's not as proficient on POA as some of the other surfaces that are out there. But it's just one of those things. And then we see it all the time. These guys become uber chalky, sans Justin Lower last year, where it was like he was just on this run and then he gets priced up because the form has been so good and he turns around and misses like 3 cuts in a row. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen for Ben Griffin, but if I'm going to fade Ben Griffin, it's not when he's 7,000 or 6,000.
Yeah,
it's when he gets bumped all the way up to 8K and he becomes the most popular guy in the range. That's the time when you fade Ben Griffin.
Yep, $8,600 Ben Griffin when he's been in the 7s and 6s all season. And chalk Ben Griffin. He might be the most popular play on the slate, to be honest with you. Is the time to fade him, and it's not because I'm not a fan of him. I am. He's obviously been a staple in my lineups for a while now, and helping my lineups. But it's just a game theory thing. I mean, it's just a situation where he shouldn't be 8,600, but he is, and he is extremely chalky. Just the time to fade. I mean, I don't mind Ben Griffin as a bet this week. I think if you're going to fade him on DraftKings, I think you can, at the least you could do is maybe put a wager on him or something like that. So I think he will end up being on my betting card. But in all honesty, Tony, I really like the bottom of the range here. I don't like the guys up top, but I like all the guys below. I like Taylor Moore. I like David Lipsky. I like Trey Mullinex. I like Nick Taylor. I don't like EVR that much, but those 4 guys are my plays in this range. Taylor Moore, who played really well last week, just after playing like dog shit recently, comes out of nowhere. And what did he end up finishing last week? 11th.
I think he finished just outside the top 10. I think he finished 11th.
11th last week. Had a 16th place finish here last year. I love that play. David Lipsky obviously has been, had a 4th place finish at Sonya a few weeks ago, miscut after that, but he had a 24th place finish here last year. Love that play. Trey Mullinex, 3 straight made cuts here. Top 30 finished, playing well recently. Love that play. And I think my favorite play in this range is Nick Taylor. I mean, he's been playing good golf. He's won this event a couple years ago. And he has really good course history here: 14th, 39th, 1st, 28th. So I really like the bottom of this range. I think I'm just going to completely fade everyone from 8,900 to 8,400 and play the guys at the bottom.
Yeah, it's funny enough. David Lipsky just continues to pop in my models, and it's because statistically he rates out very, very well. He let everybody down at the Amex when everybody was on him. He was probably the Ben Griffin chalky guy of the week that week, and he missed the cut. Our boy Big Game James actually picked him, I think, as his one and done, and he ended up missing the cut. But it's a weird thing that we have all these guys down here. And like I mentioned, typically a lot of these guys from basically Burmester all the way through Taylor are low 7 or high 6K guys. And because they're getting the price bump, I think a lot of people are going to end up staying away. And the guy that nobody wants to play is Kisner, which again, from a long-term, how would I say this, like skill standpoint, like you would think he sets up well, but the guy missed 2 out of his last 4 cuts here. We haven't seen him since the RSM, which is a course that's tailor-made for him, and he barely cracked the top 30. So I just don't know if Kisner's just kind of run his deal much like Kuchar did, and it's just like he's on the backside of his PGA career, and it is what it is. But the guy that I really like is Taylor Moore. I think he's fantastic. And then the guy at the very top of this, me, I like Pendrith. I know that he hasn't played very well here the last 2 weeks. He is coming off of a back injury. But if you look at the places where Pendrith has had his best results, they have been shorter courses. Now, again, his best weapon is his driver. But again, a guy who hits the ball 350 yards off the tee with the driver, that guy can hit a 5-iron 250, 260 yards. So yeah. I like Taylor Pendrith from that perspective. A lot of the same way that a lot of people like Gary Woodland at short courses, right? It's because he can club down, he can become more accurate, but he's still as far or farther than most of the guys in the field. So I think I would say if I was going to take chances here in the 8Ks, it would be the 2 Taylors, Taylor Moore and Taylor Pendrith.
Okay. Going back to Kisner real quick. I kind of agree with what you said. I mean, if you're going to play Kisner at any course, it should be like a short course like this. Like, it should be Pebble Beach or Harbor Town or something like that. So that's the one thing for him. It's short courses are his bread and butter. But I don't know, man. Something up with him. Like, I think he just kind of doesn't care about golf that much. Like, he cares more about just like having a good time, drinking a beer. I know he likes cash, which, by the way, I still don't understand. Like, why is he not on the Live Tour? Like, it makes no sense to me why he didn't go to Live.
Well, he's really big in the PGA community. Like, he's on a bunch of the steering boards, so he's very involved in the PGA.
I get that, but I bet you he likes cash more. So, so yeah, I don't really care to play Kisner. We'll get into Kisner later because he's one of our guys is one and done pick this week, but we'll save that for the end of the show. And as far as Taylor Pendrith goes, I don't mind the play. Just he's looked pretty bad the last couple of weeks out, and last year he finished 49th here, so not great course history. So I think I'd rather figure out a way to get the extra $100 and go up to Joel Damon at 9,000.
Yep. Dropping down into the 7Ks, it's funny. This is probably the smallest 7K pool of guys that we've seen at all this year, which tells you how big the 6K range is going to be. But there's still some guys in here that have been playing very, very well. I was on Lonto last week, right? Lonto's coming off of, I believe, either wrist or back surgery. And it was his first appearance last week at the Farmers. But if you looked at his course history, it was obviously a place that he was very comfortable. He seems to play very well on the West Coast. So I liked Lonto last week. I like him again this week, and the course history supports that. Russell Knox is another guy. He's number 6 in my model. And again, coastal course, wind, small greens, all of those things, those scream the Scotsman Russell Knox for me. So I like both of those guys kind of in the middle of the 7K range. Dropping down a little bit further, like to the bottom. It's funny. Grayson Sigg has been playing great. When I saw him ranked 12th in my model, I was kind of like shocked. I'm like, Grayson Sigg, why the hell is he in there? And it's because he's been playing very, very well. He's got a couple of made cuts. His form in terms of how he has been playing on similar courses is very, very good. Just to give you rattle off a couple of them, he's got a 15th at the RSM. Obviously, the last time we saw him was at the Amex where he missed the cut. He was also very popular there, but it could be a good bounce back spot. His only appearance was here last year. He finished 33rd, but maybe there's something to build off of there at this place. But I like Grayson Sigg as well. And then fellow Canadian to Nick Taylor, Lashley right below him. I think he's Canadian. Lashley, this is a place where he's had some success. I think was it he? I always get him and Nick Taylor mixed up. One of them, I think Nick Taylor's won this event before, and Lashley may have as well. But
no, Lashley's never won this event. He was the leader, and then he gagged it away.
That's right.
To somebody.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. Who won this tournament 2 years ago?
2 years ago. So Hoagie was last year. 2 years ago was, hold on. Was it Berger? Was Berger 2 years ago?
Yeah, Berger. Yeah. So Lashley gagged it away to Berger 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's why he has that little course history bump there. But no, Nick Taylor won this 3 years ago. It was Taylor, then Berger, then Hoagie last year.
That's right. So I like all of those guys, even dropping down a little bit further. And I recognize he's missed 2 cuts in a row now after being just absolute fire with his brother, Ben Griffin, 7,200. Ben Taylor, statistically, but hear this out, like in the 5 or 6 key stats. So off the tee as a key stat, 10th, approach, 12th, greens and regulation, 10th, opportunities game, 11th, par 4 scoring, 3rd. And then, of course, proximity from 100 to 125, he ranks inside the top 50 in this field. So, inarguably, statistically, according to like the key stats that I've arranged for this course, he probably is the best suited player. With all that being said, we've seen him on 2 POA courses, and he's missed the cut both times. But, hey, at 7,200, worth a shot down there.
Yeah. Well, let me go through the guys that I like. Above 7,500, I like Scott Stallings at the top, 7,900.
You love Scott Stallings, though. You love him everywhere.
Love him everywhere, especially
he's back on a cycle now too, so he's fresh off of steroid enhancements, so he should be in good shape.
Yeah, good course history here. I like who else is I like Will Gordon here. I think he only has 1 appearance here, but what did he do here? Let's see. Will Gordon, he had a 21st place finish a couple years ago. He's been playing pretty good golf recently. I like Will Gordon at the top. The best play in this entire range, I believe, is Matthew Neesmith at 7,300. He has last 3 straight made cuts here. He's coming in with pretty poor form with 3 straight missed cuts. But I think this is a good bounce back spot for him. He has really good course history here. The course suits him well. So Matthew Neesmith is my favorite play in this range. I like Lashley at 7,300 also. And then the one guy that we have to kind of mention here, even though he's been absolute dog shit recently, is Kevin Streelman. I mean, this guy used to be Mr. Pebble Beach, and he wins the Pro-Am every year with Larry Fitzgerald. But what are your thoughts on Kevin Streelman? He had a miscut here last year, but before that, it was 13th, 2nd, 7th, 6th. So this guy just is automatic at this course. So what are your thoughts on Kevin Streelman?
Yeah, so there's 2 guys that I will say I really like that are coming in not very good form because of the course history narrative. One is Kevin Streelman. The other guy is Troy Merritt. Yeah. Both guys are basically identical in terms of the type of game that they play, what their strengths and weaknesses are, which is why both guys have pretty unbelievable course history. But both guys are just struggling right now, and that could be the kinds of courses that they're playing. But Streelman's been bad for a while now. That's the only thing that scares me about him is, typically we kind of see him turn a corner in the swing season and then play well through the California swing. And he just hasn't been that guy. It could be that he's getting older and, maybe the skills are deteriorating, but I think it's still worth a chance at 7,100, especially when you talk about who else is in that price range. You're talking about guys like Harry Higgs and Brandon Wu and, Masters champion Danny Willett. But, for my money of those guys in the similar price range, he is the best. And I would say similar things about Troy Merritt at 7,200 is that I just think he ranks out the best of all of the guys at a similar price point. At least, the eye test to me. I'm a Troy Merritt guy, Boise State guy, so I've always got a soft spot in my heart for Troy Merritt. But I getting back to the Kevin Streelman one, I think if you are forced to grab a guy at 71 to 7,000, he is the best option at that price range. Even if you lump in the guys all the way up to maybe even 73. You've got Sig and Neesmith and Lashley, who we all mentioned at that similar price range, but it's hard to argue with what Streelman does. And to me, at 7,100, that guy, I'm asking you to make the cut. That's what I'm asking you to do at 7,100. And to me, he probably provides the best safety net for making the cut.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets in a good mood here because he's like best friends with Larry Fitzgerald, and they have a good old time mucking it up on the course of playing in that program. Yep. So he has good vibes when he comes here and plays. So definitely, definitely like the Kevin Streelman call. A couple of the guys I want to mention down here. Eric Barnes, he is a rookie, and he finished 13th last week at Torrey, so he played really well last week. I think he could ride some momentum into this week at the flat 7,000. And then one other guy, I feel like I mention him every week, and we never really expand on it. But Matthias Schmid, 7,100. He's a rookie. He's one of the best young players in the world, amateur. I just want to point out his last 5 finishes have been miscut 4th, miscut 6th, miscut last week. So if we're going to go with that trend, he's due for a top 10 finish this week. So I don't mind some Matty Schmid at 7,100.
Yeah, it's interesting. Schmid is one of those guys, I think, when he played in the Korn Ferry Finals here last year, got his card through that process, we were all like, ooh, because we were familiar with him from the Euro Tour. Very good Euro Tour, very similar to Thomas Detry for those of you who don't follow the Euro Tour. But Schmid just has not turned the corner. You've got other guys like Burmester and there's one other guy that I'm thinking of. It's not Wiesberger because he's a live guy now, but there's 3 or 4 of them, these random Euros that decided to come through the Korn Ferry Tours and get their cards. And a couple of them it hasn't translated into success. To your point, Schmid is one of those guys who can score in bunches. He's very good on approach and ball striking. He just hasn't figured out the putter at all. I mean, anywhere on U.S. soil. The one that he did well was a POA course. That is the Amex, but that's also a Pete Dye track. So maybe he's a Pete Dye specialist. I don't know. I just don't know if I could get there. I would probably still take like Streelman over him, or maybe even like our boy Harry Higgs, who's been playing pretty good here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely don't mind. Jake, to answer your question, who's Josh Allen playing with? He's playing with Keith Mitchell.
Yeah,
they played together last year, I think. Keith Mitchell's priced at 9,100. Pretty good team. I think they were in the competition last year for the Pro-Am leaderboard. So he's playing with Keith Mitchell. I don't really have anybody else here in the 7K range unless you want to. Ben Taylor, like you mentioned, the 2 straight miscuts kind of scares me. Like we talked about, he's a pretty big boy, so maybe he's getting some fatigue in there. So maybe he's just out of shape and fat. I'm not really sure, but this is gonna be multiple weeks that he's playing in a row. A couple miscuts in a row kind of scares me, but this course does suit him really well.
It's funny. We got these guys. We got a bunch of the Nickel City Mafia guys chiming in because Keith Mitchell is a dead ringer for Mike, a much younger version of Mike, because Mike is old and decrepit. But it's been said multiple times in our Discord channels how much Keith Mitchell and Mike look alike. And yes, he is playing with Mike's doppelganger this week. So it'll be interesting. Dropping down into the dumpster, like I mentioned, there are a ton of guys down here, and they're all pretty terrible. I don't want to spend a ton of time like mucking around in here and trying to make cases for guys. But is there anybody, Rick, down here? I mean, you've got like Ted Potter, who won this freaking thing a couple years ago. Is there anybody down in this range that's worth talking about or doing a deeper dive on or trying to figure out? Because my assumption is if somebody's going to go stars and scrubs, which if you look at the winners of this tournament here, like the last 10 years, it's either been the top of the board or the bottom of the board where the winners have come. Hoagie's obviously the outlier. You may have to dive down into the 6Ks if you're grabbing 2 or 3 guys at $9,000 or $10,000. Is there anybody that's worthwhile down here?
No, man. I think I'm gonna completely fade this range. I don't think there's a single name I can click on down here. Is Vaughn Taylor playing this tournament? He's usually
he withdrew. Vaughn Taylor withdrew.
Okay, well, if Vaughn Taylor was playing here, I would have played him, but since he withdrew, I'm out on everyone down here, man. Tano Goya, 6,600. He played well for like 2.5 rounds last week. I think he ended up finishing. Where did he end up finishing last week? Let's see here.
Goya finished 53rd last week.
So he played good for about I think he was on the first page of the leaderboard last week after Friday. But man, I don't really like anyone. I mean, is there anyone that you can sell me on down here? Because I really am struggling to find a name.
Yeah, I mean, I down here.
And don't say Jimmy Walker, because I'm not clicking.
No Jimmy Walker for me. It's funny. I was playing golf with Dave Woods, who's also part of the Nickel City Mafia crew in Dallas here last week, and we were talking about Jimmy Walker like randomly being on the leaderboard at the Farmers. Like, how the hell does that guy even find his way onto the leaderboard? It was so funny to see him there.
He hit the ball good last week, but I'm not clicking his name.
Yeah, no, again, there's nothing there. So there's a couple guys that are like, I guess, perennials for me, and just based off of, again, long-term form and what I recognize these guys do well. So Peter Malnati, $6,800. He's played well in spots here. He's made 3 out of 5 cuts at Pebble Beach, but if you look at the trend, he goes made cut, missed cut, made cut, missed cut. He made the cut last year, so that probably means he's going to miss this year. The other guy right above him in the same price range is Henrik Norlander. Norlander's played this event twice. He's made 2 cuts here, basically 2 top 25s. So not bad there. Dropping down a little bit farther, 6,500 Brian Gay. This was a spot where Brian Gay would have success. It's a short course. It mitigates distance. It requires you to have a good short game, be a good putter. That's Brian Gay, which is why he's played well here. With all that being said, he's been terrible the last 6-8 weeks. And the last time we saw him play here, which was last year, he missed the cut. So take all of that with a grain of salt. So these are all things. It's kind of like you're going to have to hold your nose and click the button and figure out what narrative you're going to ride when you select these guys. But those are a couple names that you might want to take a stab at. Another one is Sean O'Hare. Like, O'Hare's played well here. He finished, I think, top 20 last year. He's at 6,600. but there's not a lot of safety down here. To your point, it's like you're better off trying to fade it. My boy Ryan Armour, he hasn't played great as of late, but he seems to always make the cut here. So I don't know, maybe Armour.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Since we're doing a show, I'll give one name for you guys out there if you want to throw a dart on him. At 6,500, nobody really knows who he is, but his name is Marcel Seam. He's a European Tour guy. His last he hasn't missed a cut in a long time anywhere on the he's been playing mainly DP World Tour events, but his last like 5 finishes have been 19th, 47th, 5th, 6th, 16th, 43rd. So this guy's making cuts, playing well on the DP World Tour. I mean, this strength of field is essentially pretty much a DP World Tour event. So I don't mind Marcel Seam at 6,500. He did play here once in 2015. I'm not really sure where he finished, but he did gain almost 2 strokes on the field that week, so he must have played well. So that's the only name down here that I could throw as a dart. I don't really like anybody else in this range, man.
Yeah, I mean, the other two guys, again, just throwing them out there for different reasons. Satoshi Kodaira, a PGA Tour winner. Again, a guy who on the Asian Tour is basically a Hall of Famer. And we've seen him pop up in spots here or there. And then right below him, also at 6,800, a guy I liked last week. He ended up missing the cut, but Eric Cole, that's the first miscut he's had in, I don't know, 6-7 weeks. So there's another guy. Again, you're hoping that he can catch whatever lightning he had in a bottle here a few weeks ago until he missed the cut at the Farmers. The Farmers is a very difficult event. It is in a totally different style of course, style of play than what we're going to see at Pebble Beach. And you got to hope maybe Eric Cole gets the train back on the tracks if you're going to play him at 6,800.
Okay. Yeah. I don't got anybody else, man. Let's just move on.
Yep. No, I hear you. Like we mentioned, and I did want to throw this out there, the betting odds, and I've heard it mentioned on a couple different shows, and it's at least worth acknowledging and delivering it out there, because for those of you that are new to golf betting, the odds haven't always been this shitty. Like, it's crazy. I don't know if it's because of COVID and the fact that there wasn't a lot to do and maybe more people are participating in golf betting or doing things like that, but the odds, we used to get a lot more guys at higher odds. Like typically in a field like this, like your Spieth and Fitzpatrick and Hovland would be where they are, but guys like Hoagie and Power and McNeely would like be in the 40s. Andrew Putnam would be in the 60s or 70s. Davis, Riley, Scott Stallings would be 100 plus. Yeah. And it feels like the books have either gotten sharper or maybe they just don't want to give the odds they were. It seems like every single week we've got multiple guys below 20-1, where, if you go back 3-4 years ago, it was like you really only had 1 or 2 guys in every field, regardless of the field strength, that were priced below 20-1. And it just seems like those days are gone, man. Like we're not getting the numbers that we would. I mean, Hoagie opened at 65 last year. And I think by the time we got to tournament time, because everybody was all over him, that was a community win as well. He got bet down to 40, which is still a great number. And we see him open at 18 this week. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of 2 things. I think, yes, the books have gotten a little bit sharper. Golf betting has gotten pretty popular over the last couple years. So obviously when that happens, they're going to, get a little sharper. But I think the other thing, man, is that we haven't had a triple digit winner in forever. So like, I just don't think like people they don't care about betting these guys in the triple digits anymore. The 100 to 1 to 1 and higher. So I mean, in all honesty, if you're going to pick a tournament to pick a triple digit winner, this would be a good one, where we've seen, Ted Potter Jr. win at, what was it, like 400 to 1 or something like that. Yeah, man, I totally agree. The odds are pretty shitty. But yeah, I mean, we just gotta find those golfers in that. I was even watching another podcast earlier today that said the long shot range nowadays is 60 to 1. Like,
which is crazy. That's crazy. Like if you understand where we were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's the long shot range, and it's not fun. But yeah, man, this betting board's pretty ugly. I'm gonna bet Mav at 22. I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna bet. Who else am I gonna bet here? Joel Damon at 40. I don't mind the Joel Damon at 40 number.
Yep.
Matty Schmid 130 is the only bomb I'd be interested in. I like Nick Taylor at 65-1. I like Ben Griffin at 71. That's a pretty good number. 71 for Ben Griffin, I think, is a good value, especially where he's priced on the DK board.
Yep. No, I think both he and Lonto have value at 70. As much as I like giving Mike crap about picking Lonto Griffin versus Ben Griffin, like there's value in both guys' numbers. If you buy into the Kiz narrative, there's Kiz at 70. That seems like it's got some value there. So I'm not really sure. For me, the bets that I have locked in already, I locked in Power at 22, McNeely at 20. The 22 was not offered on my book. He was already bet down to 20. And then the other one that I hit was Dahlman at 45 on my book. The other guys that I like that I will probably end up adding to the card, which I'll post that on the Discord channel like we do every single week. But I like Nick Taylor at 65. I like Ben Griffin at 70. And then there was one other guy that I liked a little bit deeper down the board here. Oh, yeah, Merritt at 90. I liked Merritt as well at 90-1. So that's probably going to round up my card. I think it's going to be like 5-6 guys, especially because I got those three, Power, McNeely, and Damon, all kind of in that sub 50 range.
I like Lashley at 110. I think that's a good number.
Yeah, that's not a bad call. I mean, even again, he's been playing terrible, but a name, Webb Simpson at 90-1. I mean, Webb Simpson has won majors, bro. Majors.
Nah. I'd rather bet him next week at next week at Scottsdale, where he's actually won and played well.
All right. So in our ongoing Nickel City Mafia one and done, it is the content creator show. And so we've got it here. Chris and Jake, dude, how are you and I at the bottom of this thing? How is that possible?
Because for some reason, Chris and Jake picked Max Homa last week, and I picked Will Zalatoris. So I was the first missed cut of the year amongst our groups. Everyone else has two made cuts, and I have Will Zalatoris shitting the bed and making a bogey on the 36th hole last week to miss the cut.
Yeah, well, through 54 holes, I was patting myself on the back with the John Rahm pick because I thought, here we go, Rahm's going to run away with this thing again. And he just decided to just go +4 on Sunday at a course where he has been like Superman for his entire career. But hey, I guess it happens.
But the good thing, Tony, I'll tell you this, is that it's early in the season.
Yep.
We have an elevated event coming up next week. So if we hit our pick next week, we're going to jump to the top of the leaderboard because that payment for first place next week is going to be like, I think it's over $2 million. So yeah, we're still in the game. It's still early.
Still early. All right. So getting to this week, here are our picks for the week. Rick, you've got McNeely. You mentioned it off the jump. I am taking Joel Damon. This is probably the one spot where I can take him, and I feel like there's some value. Jake is taking Kisner despite all of the negative energy we are throwing that way. Mike is taking Lonto, the worst of the two Griffins. And, of course, Chris is taking Seamus Power, which I think is a pretty solid pick. I like Power here as well, too. It was between Power and Damon for me just because I felt like Mav was going to be super popular. I opted for Damon, but I can't hate on the Power pick.
Yeah, some good picks out here, except for Jake's. I don't like the Kisner pick at all. He sucks. But for me, it was between McNeely and Fitz, but I felt like this was a good spot to take McNeely. Fitz, I think you can save him for a bigger event later on down the year.
I agree.
So I'll roll with Mav this week. He has great course history. Like I said, this is his home course that he's played a million times in his life, and I think he's going to get the job done this week.
I like the call. That's why I bet him as well. Like I mentioned, we will post our bets for the week on the Discord. You'll find the link down in the description and in the comments of this channel. Join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty funny. The information and feedback that we get on there, and hey, you might get lucky and take $100 from one of us like Adam did last week, which is always fun for people on Discord. And of course, subscribe to the Nickel City Mafia channel. All those likes, the comments, they all help us to continue to build the brand and continue to offer this content for free. Whether or not the content is any good is completely up to you, but you get it for free, and it's because people do those things. Rick, I think that's going to do it for us. Any final thoughts for the people at home?
It'll be cool if Mav or Ben Griffin win this week, because that'll be back-to-back community wins for the community, because those are two very, very popular bets this week, and hope one of them get the job done, because that'd be nice for our bankrolls going into the Super Bowl next week.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice to have a little money going into Super Bowl so you can waste a little bit on Sunday, right? And it'll be good because we'll have this done. We'll also have the waste management. So we could have 2 weeks in a row of back-to-back money, maybe 3 weeks if you add the farmers in there, of course. But it'll be interesting as we approach Super Bowl Sunday. I know we've got some content both from the Nickel City Mafia crew and potentially even from this group here talking about NFL. So looking forward to all of that. I think that's going to do it for us, Rick. Good luck this week, man. Good luck to all of you out there. Join the Discord, like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. Thanks again for watching and have a great night.
Good night.